My apologies for that poor bell ringing. I'm completely thrown off with the setup on the podium or on the dais. Um, Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I'm your president, Wilda Ream, for 3 more weeks. I just have to keep Doug in the know and keep it fresh on his mind. Oh, so I always know where he's at in the room. So let's start our meeting by reciting the 4-way test. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, The Star-Spangled Banner, and the pledge will be led by Jennifer Seal, followed by the invocation by District Governor nominee Aaron Jacobs and visitor introductions by Ron Starnes.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Please join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. The rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rotarians, please join me in a word of prayer. Dear God, we give you thanks for this day, yet another really nice and glorious and magnificent day for us to enjoy. And Lord, we do recognize that in our own way, we look in the world around us and see social imbalances, but overall, all that you have created has been good. And where we see imbalance, you're there to help and guide us, to bring the impact of our talents in Rotary into the world to make things better. And you do that through blessings. And Lord, we ask blessings on our presenter today, the meal that we've had, our club leadership, our members, both present and abroad. And most importantly, God bless the Rotary Club of York. Amen.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. It's my pleasure to introduce our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Wilda has welcomed you. Our first is a visiting Rotarian, Jeff Kyle from the York East Club. We have Vernon Bracey, guest of membership. Madeline Reinhardt, a guest of Scott Thomasy. Madeline Reinhardt, oh, I just said that one. Becky Shore, guest of Cheryl Yeager. Mackenzie Myers, guest of Cheryl Yeager. Aaron Arnold, guest of Thomas Kelta Jerome. And James Anderson IV, a guest of James Anderson III. Did I get that right? Okay, good.
Guests, we're so glad to have you here with us today. Whether this is your first visit or you're back again, it's always a pleasure to have new faces in the room. If what you see here today resonates with you, we'd love to have you consider becoming part of our Rotary family. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. You may be seated. And now for our announcements this week. First up, congratulations to Rotarian Mike Black, who got engaged over the weekend. I believe he's still on vacation, so he's not here with us today. And then on to the more mundane announcements. The Rotary Club Board of Directors will meet tomorrow, June 11th at 8 o'clock on Zoom. The Youth Literacy Committee will also meet tomorrow at 9 o'clock on Zoom. And thank you to each of you who responded to our request that you consider your committee service for the next year, especially to those who volunteered for new committee opportunities to serve. Your contributions are much appreciated. If you have not yet revisited your Rotary Committee involvement, please find time to do this. We can use your help. And as we've been saying the last couple of weeks, that's where the work of the Rotary Club gets done, is at committee level. So it's important that our Rotarians are engaged. And if you hadn't heard or didn't know, we're sending District Governor nominee Aaron Jacobs overseas. So to tell us a little bit more about why, District Governor nominee Aaron Jacobs.
Thank you, President Wilda. Guess where I'm going tomorrow? I am excited to represent the Rotary Club of York at Rotary International Assembly in Taipei, Taiwan. Give a round of applause for that. And so I was asked to say a few words about this. And it's funny because when I first told my wife about this, I said, hey, you're never going to guess what happened. I said, I am going to Taiwan. And instead of being excited, she gave me this funny look. And I was like, what's the matter? She goes, doesn't that strike you a little bit odd? I said, what do you mean by that? She goes, well, last year, didn't you go, they sent you to Ethiopia? I said, why, yes, they did. And she goes, and so this year they're sending you to Taiwan? I said, yes. She goes, did you ever notice that since you've been president of that club, they keep trying to send you to the furthest parts of the planet possible? And I said, you're just being paranoid. She goes, can you check to see if it's a one-way or a two-way ticket? It was one way. That being said, I would, on a serious note, I would say that for me, my Rotary world has gotten so much bigger in the last 2 years because of these kinds of experiences. And though I have the privilege of being a member of one of the largest clubs in the universe, it's amazing sometimes how our Rotary world can be so small. So I'm looking forward to the experience, but my hope is to bring back ideas of how our club can be more plugged in on an international basis to be part of what is the larger part of Rotary across the globe. So I'm happy for that. And even Wilda gave me a nice little note that I thought, you don't mind if I read this to them. It says, dear District Governor nominee Aaron, on behalf of myself and the board of directors, we wanted to say thanks and congratulations and enjoy your trip in Taiwan. Just so you know that returning back is considered optional. Tee-hee, just kidding. Sincerely, President Wilda. P.S. But seriously, consider that. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to my trip, and I'll see you when I get back.
Thank you, Aaron. But a little telltale sign there, I would have said LOL. But we're really excited to hear about your trip and what you learn, again, to help our district and our club. And now Bill Hunter, Chair of the Membership Engagement Committee, has some updates for us.
Thank you, President Wilda. I think we have some pictures to go with these. Last Thursday, we had a Rotary Biz networking event at the Appel Center. We had 19 Rotarians come out with us. As you can see from the pictures, we have had a full tour. We started in the studio. First of all, thank you to Todd Fogdahl CEO, and Victoria Connor on our committee for organizing the event. We started in the studio. We had a nice lunch there. Todd gave us a nice background and then gave us a walking tour of both the Appel Center and the Strand Capitol. So we saw the green room. We saw dressing rooms. There's a myriad of dressing rooms on the side and actually down below. We got backstage, as you can see here, and the pit. And then we got a lot of information, such as when the performers acts come in with their trucks, they come down Philadelphia Street and they back into Cherry Lane to get their trucks back in there. And according to Todd, the building's only been hit once that he knows of. Some acts, like Broadway acts, they come in and they totally strip down the theater. They take out all the sound, the lighting, everything, and they run their own stuff. So very interesting. We learned about Van Halen's Rider with the brown M&Ms. That's the classic story that if there's brown M&Ms in the bowl, they won't do the show because the rider wasn't read by the host. We learned what bus stock is. Bus stock is what acts put in the rider. It's typically some high dollar alcohols, things of that nature, that it goes off of backstage and onto the bus. And that's typically stricken from the rider. Couple other little things. The murals in the theater up in the top there, those were actually painted over the characters because they were showing too much skin. And thankfully, they were brought back to original when they were refurbished. So other things that we learned, Dr. Ben Hoover is quite the historian with the Appel Center. So if you ever want to have a conversation with him, he will give you a lot of intel on that. And President Wilda had her first job in York at the Appel Center. So that was last Thursday. It was a great time. I think we have one more picture before we get into some other stuff. Yep, we took a bow from the stage. So upcoming events we have, if you can go to the next slides. We do have Rotary Means Business. We did this last year. We had it at Market View Arts. We had about 75 people show up for this. It was a great showing that we hosted the district. So we're doing that again on July 30th at CGA from 5 to 7 p.m. So please go ahead and Club Runner register for that. It's a district thing, so you'll have to look for it. But please register for that. Should be a great time. I believe the Revs are in town that night, so you can do some networking and then go enjoy the Revs. Next thing we have coming up is we do have a new member happy hour. We're going to be having that on August 13th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Yorktown Hotel. So again, we're going to have that and come out and meet some new members. And then finally, in September, we're scripting these out a little bit further. We're going to go to Tech Centro. Tech Centro offers a variety of educational services, workforce training, things of that nature. So we're going to be touring their facility and seeing what they have going on for that one. So we are working out our calendar. If you do want to promote your business or any organizations or know of other people, please let us know if you want to host one of these events. We'd love to keep learning more about facilities here in York. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you to your committee for all of your work in planning these fun events for us and getting to know a little bit more about York and not just and about each other as well. And now I invite Albert Blakey to the podium on behalf of the Youth Exchange Committee.
Greetings. And to our new members, our impressive crop of new members over the last few months, welcome. If I haven't met you yet, I look forward to soon. There's supposed to be a slide, please. Bravo. So I'm here on behalf of the Youth Exchange Committee to amplify Carrie Ebling's message from 2 weeks ago as we seek host families in the York Suburban School District for the upcoming school year. So as you read this slide, I want to ask any members who have previously hosted a Rotary Youth Exchange student to please stand. We've got, my dad was a lawyer and he said, never ask a question in court that you don't know the answer to. I didn't know the answer to this one. All right, now keep standing, David, keep standing. If you have hosted on more than one occasion, please wave your arm. All right. Okay. If you have also served as a counselor to a Rotary Exchange student, wave both arms. Okay, now you can sit down. But for those waving two arms, you are rock stars. And we've got a lot of Kool-Aid, and it's time to share it. And I happen to know, speaking of summer travel, that there are a number of members who are not here today who fit all three categories and are not at our meeting because they're elsewhere. Hosting a youth exchange student is service above self on a personal level. It is a transformative experience, not just for the visiting student, but for everyone in the host household. As Carrie said, we have a very bright young woman from India who is arriving in August. And it's important to remember that families are not required to be members of Rotary to be qualified as hosts. And we have members in this room for whom hosting was part of the reason they joined Rotary in the first place. So please think about your household and also think about friends, neighbors, people you may know through work or church or leagues or other groups. We are looking for 3 host families for 3 months each for the coming school year in York Suburban. 3 months for a life-changing experience for a visiting kid and for you. So if you're curious, talk to anybody who is standing. And if your curiosity turns into potential interest, Youth Exchange Committee members are easy to find. Right, Lynn? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Albert. And now I welcome Bill Hartman to the podium to honor and celebrate Rotarians for the recent gifts to Rotary International.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Good afternoon. Yeah, Lynn had a scheduling challenge today. She didn't know whether to put me in front of Albert, which could have resulted in Albert not having enough time, or she could have put Albert in front of me. And Albert, I just want to commend you for, number one, you took less than 3 minutes, and the demonstrations were yes. We're lucky today because it's always a good day when we can recognize the generosity of our club members. And today we're going to recognize 8 outstanding true Rotarians who are making the world and central Pennsylvania a better place to be. First of all, Jan Wogemuth is using his recognition points to present a Paul Harris Fellowship to Jacob Thornton. So come on up, Jan, and do that. And while he's doing that, so that I can follow Albert's good example of not taking more than 3 minutes, I'll keep announcing Brad Smith is being honored today with a Paul Harris Fellowship +2. Steve Feldman has earned a Paul Harris Fellowship +3. Mike Anstein has earned a Paul Harris Fellowship +5. Glenn Smith has earned a Paul Harris Fellowship +5. Roger Calabretta has earned a Paul Harris Fellowship +6. He is not here to accept, so I will accept his award for him. That makes me a Paul Harris Fellow +16. Karen McCormick has earned a Paul Harris Fellowship +6. And the most years in a row of increasing Paul Harris Fellowships today goes to past President Rob Bowen, who's awarded a Paul Harris Fellowship +7. Thank you for recognizing this outstanding group of Rotarians, and it's really heartwarming to see the contributions continue to come in to the Global Rotary Foundation. Thank you.
So today we celebrate the dedication and the service of our fellow Rotarians who've been recognized at their various giving levels. This honor reflects not just their commitment to Rotary's ideals, but also to the positive impact that they've made in our community and beyond. Each of you embodies the spirit of service above self, and your contributions inspire all of us to strive for greater good. Thank you for your unwavering dedication and for being shining examples of what it means to be an outstanding true Rotarian. And now Elaine Bonneau will introduce our speaker for today.
Well, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. It's a pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Alexandria Keener Hammond. Alex is the founder and owner of My Girlfriend's Wardrobe, one of Central Pennsylvania's top women's luxury consignment and retail shops. Alex is a graduate of Northeastern Senior High School and Harrisburg University of Science and Technology. Born and raised in York, Pennsylvania, Alex will describe how she started the concept for My Girlfriend's Wardrobe as her senior project in college. From there, it grew to an online-only store, then to a mobile store, and finally to a brick and mortar. Opening the first brick and mortar store in downtown York allowed My Girlfriend's Wardrobe to get more involved in the community. Alexandria quickly became immersed in the downtown business community, identifying the needs of York small businesses, the all evolving interests and expectations of customers. Our interests and expectations are always evolving, aren't they? And working collaboratively with Downtown Inc., the City of York, fellow business owners, and others to fill those needs and rise to the opportunities. Those needs have included donating food on a monthly basis to local schools, assisting with school projects, and donating items to nonprofits and more. Alexandria was also one of the business owners leading the Market District in downtown York from 2019 to 2025, assisting with First Fridays, organizing the merchant meetings, and so much more. You could often find her walking throughout downtown, collaborating with established businesses, welcoming new business owners to the neighborhood, welcoming visitors for First Fridays, Go Green, and so many other annual events. Also hosting several of her own signature events, and one of my favorites, designing her iconic window displays that are known for their creativity, high style, and always a touch of the unexpected. And I just want to say on a personal note, I was introduced to Alex and My Girlfriend's Wardrobe in 2014 when her store at that time was on West Market Street. And my husband and I were walking through downtown on a First Friday, and her window display caught my attention. And of course, my husband is shrugging his shoulders, and we went in, but she quickly turned his frown upside down because he noticed that not only was there a local craft beer tasting at the store, there was also live music. And the best part, as he tells it, was there were nice, comfortable chairs in the front of the store. So about 15 minutes into the local beer tasting and live music, he's like, babe, keep shopping. So that was my first experience. And I can't remember what I bought that day, but I can definitely remember how she made me feel at the store. And I think it's the reason that many of her customers still refer to My Girlfriend's Wardrobe as their happy place. So from one marketer to another, I give you props, my friend. Alexandria and her husband live in York County with their energetic 4-year-old and 3 dogs. So coupled with her busy and growing business, there's never a dull moment. So please help me welcome the owner of My Girlfriend's Wardrobe and my friend, Alex Keener Hammond.
Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? All right. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you all for coming. I have my notes, and I'm going to try and stay on point. I tend to ramble. Elaine's going to give me a little look. Keep me on track. I want to make sure we're respectful of your time. and we also have time for your questions. So as Elaine said, my name is Alexandria. I started My Girlfriend's Wardrobe in 2012, and I was in college at Harrisburg University of Science and Technology, and my degree is for new media design and production. So web design, graphic design, video production, all of those really fun things. And I actually needed an internship to graduate. So they required a 120-hour internship. A lot of the internships that I was finding at the time, oh, hang on. There we go. They weren't super meaningful. It was a lot of getting coffee, making paper, or they wanted you to have, I kid you not, 5 years of experience. So obviously as a college student, I did not meet that qualification. And I was also working 30+ hours a week while in college full-time. So my last semester of college, I had my part-time job, my business, and I was also doing 22 credits so that I did not have to do an extra semester for 6 credits. So started My Girlfriend's Wardrobe in 2012, and we started out online only. We had actually looked for retail spaces. We wanted to buy a building, but that was not really possible with the financials of having student loans. So we started online. I started the business with my mom, and I actually bought her out in 2019. So I'm the sole owner now. And one of the reasons, in addition to needing the internship, was my mom shopped a lot, and she had been having some not so great experiences with some of the shops that she was going to. One of those problems was communication, which is one of the things that I wanted to touch on today. And I felt like we could do it better, especially together. So we talked about it. We had this crazy idea. I went to my college advisor and he said, okay, we'll see. So I interned for myself, and then for my junior and senior projects, expanded the business. So for my junior project, we expanded it to a mobile store. So we did 3D renderings, business plans, event planning for the events to take this 30-foot camper that we turned into a mobile store too. And by the way, if you want to do a mobile business, don't do a 30-foot trailer. You will have to pay for several vendor spaces at almost every single event. So we did that. And then in 2013, we opened our first brick and mortar. We were on North George Street, 14 North George Street. So right across from what was Bistro 19. And a couple doors down from Subway, right next to the Downtown Inc. office. And then from there, we expanded, we moved to Market Street. And then eventually we landed on North Beaver Street in 2018. So have some pictures here. The one where I'm in the yellow dress, that is in the mobile store. And so that is roughly like middle of 2012, end of 2012 there. So we had a setup, we had a whole room in the back, we had fitting rooms. And then the other picture in the, it'll be your upper left, that is a picture from our North Beaver Street location, I think in early 2025. So we had started to get more into the luxury side of the business. One of the things that I am most proud of with my business growth is that in 2024, we were under mid 6 figures. And by the end of 2025, we finished with over 7 figures in revenue for the year. No debt, no investors, just strategy, listening to our customers, and also being involved in our community. And I also hired some really great retail consultants who are worth their weight in gold, and they help me watch all my numbers. And we look at what customers are buying category-wise, and then we make adjustments to our inventory and what we're looking for based on those bi-monthly meetings. So I have some more pictures here. That is me in the store in 2024. So if you remember that the slide right before, you can see the change. I think I can go back, right? So you can kind of see the change in the inventory there. And we did that based off of our consultants and also customer communication and customer spending. And then that is the beginning of what we called the luxury wall in our North Beaver Street location down in 2024. So that brings me to community. as a small business owner, I feel it is incredibly important to be involved in your community, not just in ways that would benefit your business, but also ways that will make you feel really great as well. So one of the things that we did, Market District in downtown York. So if you know where Central Market is, that is the Market District. We had some really great business owners. We had Caroline with Kimmons, Melissa with Sweet Melissa's. They both retired and or moved in 2018. So, and I actually took over Melissa's spot in 2018. And it was an amazing opportunity. And so I actually had to pay rent on 2 spaces to make that happen for a couple of months, but it was well worth that money. And so when Melissa and Caroline left, and they were huge, huge cheerleaders for downtown, and they both had their businesses downtown for many, many years. They left, so I took over running the Market District merchant meetings. So every month I would corral as many of the downtown businesses in the Market District as I could, harder than it sounds. And we would get together and we would plan community events. So we would organize the First Fridays. We would handle the street closures. So we would run out of our shops at 4 o'clock and go, okay, we got to close the street. You do this end, I'll do the alleys, I'll do this end. Nobody get hit by a car. You laugh, it happened. We didn't get hit, it almost happened quite a few times. People think they can move barricades. It's a very wild experience trying to close the street downtown, let me tell you. So we did First Fridays. We would organize things like the pet costume contest and parade, which is one of the photos with the dog dressed as Elvis, or the person dressed as Elvis, and the dog is his sidekick. And so that was a really great community event that raised money for the York County SPCA. We would also invite them to bring some of their adoptable dogs. So the dogs would get a lot of really great exposure, get to meet people, and people would be able to interact with the dog out of a shelter environment, which is really important for some of these dogs to be able to be adopted. So all of the money that we raised from those, we would donate to the SPCA. We've been doing those since, I believe, 2022, and I would plan those with another downtown business owner, Zara Brooks from Indigo Blue. So we did those. Our best year, we had about 75 dogs registered. We also had an iguana and a cat registered as well at one point. So that was really fun. We had one of our best in-show winners was, they had puppies. So they built a, oh my gosh, like a claw game around their puppies in their stroller. So the puppies were a prize that you would win from the claw game. So they won one of our best in-shows. And then the elementary school, Devers K-8, they sent out a letter one year to a lot of businesses. I'm assuming not just downtown. And they do this event every year where they raise money for their students for shirts and sweatshirts. And so we donated to that. And I said, what else do you need? They have a food pantry. And a lot of people don't realize that some of these schools, they have students that lunch is the only meal they get. And as a mom, I could not imagine not having community support. So when I found that out, I said, okay, I'm going to give you monthly donations. So I go to walmart.com. I know it's Walmart, but they have delivery. Okay. And I don't always have the time to go to the store and pick up all of this food. So I will go on walmart.com, do a Walmart delivery order. And my goal is to donate over $10,000 this year in food to their food pantry so that these students have food to take home, snacks. I don't just buy the essentials. Kids should be able to have some fun Doritos and candies and stuff like that too. So if you have schools in your area, which all of us do, I would encourage you to reach out and see if they have food pantries that benefit their students. So obviously during the summer, we can't do that. So I just save that money up. And then when fall rolls around, I will email them, what do you need? Usually it's a lot of non-perishables. And so come August, I'm probably going to need a couple Walmart delivery drivers for this upcoming order for them. Because I want to make sure when those kids come back that they have some food and supplies waiting. some of the York City schools, they will also accept clothing for their students. A lot of them just do solid color polos and navy, black, or brown pants for their students. So we will also send them clothing, hats, scarves, all of that. So come August, I think we're almost halfway to my goal of $10,000 this year donated to that elementary school. And I'm very grateful that they sent that letter and that I opened it, because sometimes we get so much mail as business owners. But something about that letter made me stop and open it that year. And I'm so glad I did. So we've been doing that since 2024. And one of the things that I just feel personally is that the better my business does, the more that I'm able to give. I want to help people. And when I have the funds to do that, it makes me very happy to do that. So that's just kind of a little bit with community. And then in 2022, I also started the Mother's Day Outdoor Market downtown to fill the void of the Old York Street Fair being gone. So that was a big event. It always benefited downtown, especially the businesses. And I did notice a direct impact in sales with that event gone. So in 2022, 7 months pregnant, we did our first Mother's Day Outdoor Market. A little crazy on my part, but it was fine. We made it. And we had about 25 vendors that year. And then this past year, we had about 55 vendors, all small businesses, all geared towards women, families, children. And it was a really great event. We had amazing weather. So I'm excited to pass the torch for that event for downtown for next year. Okay, there we go. And that also brings me to communication, which I feel like is so important for community and businesses and just as individual people. So one of the reasons my business has done so well, which has allowed me to give back to my community so much, is communication and ways that customers are communicating with us that aren't verbal. So email open rates. What are people responding to with the emails? What are they clicking on? If you have a really good system, you should be able to kind of track all of this information. And I would encourage you to look at it or hire somebody that can look at it and understand and come up with a plan for you to be able to implement. One of the things that has helped my business grow the most has been hiring those retail consultants that I mentioned. I meet with them twice a month and we go over all of the numbers for what is selling in my business. So I can tell you at any given point, Louis Vuitton bags over $750, how much I have on hand, how much I've been discounting, what we're trending to do for the month in sales, and how much more inventory I may need to buy. So customers are communicating with me what they want by what they buy. And then that allows me to get more in, which allows me to sell more, which then allows me to give more back to my community. Being a consignment store, communication is also really important. We have on average about 20 new consigners every single month coming to our business and basically hiring us to sell their items for them for the very first time. So they want to be able to track their items. We have an online portal that they can log into, but they also just want somebody to hold their hand throughout the process, especially for the first time with their drop-offs, things like that. You know, we have people's belongings in our store. I'm responsible for them. Back in February, when we were downtown, our business flooded and we had about $40,000 in damages. And because I have the correct insurance, my consigners, most of them never even realized that some of their things were damaged. We just handled it. We ran it through as sold, their account was credited, and they were paid out as usual. So unless they could identify their items in photos that we were communicating with on social media, most of them never even knew. We lost an entire clothing rack of clothing. None of those consigners knew that their things were damaged. So we told them things had gotten damaged and that we would be crediting their accounts and to reach out if they had questions. One person reached out with a question. We responded to her immediately. And she said, okay, great, thank you. I'll watch for that. And that was it. No, I was very relieved. Everybody was understanding. And I think that just also goes into why communication is so important. So when something like this happens in your life or your business, people know that you're all going to be on top of it, so they don't have to feel like they need to be. Lack of communication can also send a message to your customers, your friends, your family, that you don't want to happen either. So that is one of the biggest reasons that we did unfortunately have to relocate. We're now located in Old Tollgate Village, which is wonderful, and our new location. I had a couple of photos, actually the photo up top there with the mannequins and not the window, but that is a photo from our new location. So it all ended up very well. But one of the things that I always hear from customers about other businesses that they go to is, oh, well, they're supposed to be open, but they weren't. There's no post on social media. There's nothing posted to their website. Their Google listing says that they're supposed to be open and they aren't. And to a degree, customers will understand everybody is human. There are going to be things that come up that you may have to close, you may have to change an event, things like that. But if you're not communicating that with them in some way, shape, or form, probably after once or twice, they're going to find another store. And I'm sure everybody in this room can think of one time where they tried to go somewhere and it was closed and how disappointed you were, and then that also spoils your experience for, I'm just going to say downtown as an example, but that area that you're visiting, especially if you're visiting for that time. And so then all those other businesses around you have to work that much harder to turn that experience back into a positive one. So communication goes such a long way. And again, it is truly one of the reasons that my business has done so well over the last 14 and a half years. And we continue to grow. We should be doubling our revenue this year. And I'm so excited to see what's next for MGW and just what we can do to give back to our community and continue the business. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Here we go.
Thank you. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Quick question. What right now are the hot items? What are you buying and what are people buying?
So we are selling a lot of Louis Vuitton. We will sell over 600 pieces of Louis Vuitton alone this year. And a lot of our sales happen in store, people. Just saying. We have an online store too, but 80% of my business is done face-to-face with our customers in store. So we have people driving from Virginia, Washington, DC, Philly every single week to shop our Louis Vuitton. Gucci is another really great one. Hermes, Chanel. So, but Louis Vuitton is the fan favorite with us.
That was a great presentation. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for sharing. I have two questions.
Okay.
One, Old Tollgate Village is popular. A lot of folks are moving there. Refillism is there, right?
Bound Books.
Bound Books is
Yes.
there. Upper City, that's
Yes.
the other one that I was
Mhm.
thinking of. What was it about Old Tollgate Village that drew you? And the second question is, you are amazing on social media.
Thank you.
In that communication piece, can you talk a little bit about your strategy with social media?
Yes. So Old Tollgate Village, what attracted me to that area is it is making a really big comeback. So Bound Books was also a fellow downtown business. They moved to Old Tollgate for a larger space and they are doing wonderfully. Apricity also moved for the same reason. They wanted a little bit of a larger space, but they also wanted to be able to set it up a little bit differently to explore their candle making opportunities. So now they have a whole candle making bar. It's amazing. So Old Tollgate, just the businesses that were there. I also really liked in their lease agreements that we have to be open 5 days a week. We're businesses in Old Tollgate Village are only allowed to be closed for 1 full week a year. And again, that creates that consistency for customers. They don't have to go on social media to check to see if somebody's open. It's one less thing. They can get in their car, drive there, and walk in our doors. So consistency and being open and just the group of businesses that are there. Also the space size. We needed a fairly large space. So we have about 1,700 square feet, which 1,100 of that is sales floor. And so our downtown location, before it flooded, it was right under 950 square feet. And then after it flooded, we were only able to use 500 square feet. And so Yes, so we needed some space. So now it feels like we have a little bit of a palace situation going on. It's very nice. And then social media. Our social media is something that I am a really big stickler about. I probably drive my employees a little bit crazy with it, but on Instagram alone, we typically will post a lot. We typically will post on Instagram about 30 times a day between stories and then also our newsfeed content. So we'll typically do 2 reels and a post, or 2 posts and a reel on Instagram, and then stories. One of the perks of being a consignment store is we have new items arriving every single day. So if you walk in, there's anywhere from 10 new luxury bags every day and then 50 pieces of clothing. So we want to make sure we highlight all of that. So I think in about a month's time, we typically post on Instagram and Facebook about 30,000 times a month. So very crazy, but it works. It shows all of the new products. And I feel like with consignment, you have to post a lot so you can see all of the things that you're getting in store for people. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm totally amazed. I never knew you were downtown. I go past Tollgate Village all the time. I didn't know you were there. Now I have to know you're there. How do you possibly, York, Pennsylvania, how are you possibly filling your shelves with clothing or bags, not from all the people in York County? I mean, where's the merchandise coming from? And it's flowing out quickly. I don't get this. This is amazing. I mean, Instagram and
Yeah.
well, I've never seen any of that.
So I'm glad you asked. I love this. I love that. And I love the response to this. Okay. So we were the first consignment store in York to have an online store. So back in 2012, when we opened, nobody else had an online store. And so we used that to our advantage. So back in 2012, I did a little bit of hustling, and I would go on Craigslist and people would post stuff and I'd say, hey, you should let me sell that for you through my store. So I would not just do York. I would do Lancaster. I would reach out to people in Maryland. I would reach out to people in Virginia. I would reach out to people in New York. So we're the only consignment store in York that has consigners shipping them items from all over the place. I have a lovely woman in Virginia. She ships me about 50 pounds of clothing like every 3 months. And it's amazing. Her boxes are like Christmas. We love them. And then as far as the luxury, we do get a lot of luxury from local clients. So they can consign it for some of our best-selling brands. We now offer a buyout. So I'll just buy it from them when they set up an appointment with me. So they don't need to wait to be paid for it, like paid when it sells. So we have a lot of local people, but I also have people from out of state emailing me saying, hey, I would like to sell you my Louis Vuitton bag. I'd like to sell you my Chanel double flap. And so they send me pictures. We'll get on a Google Meet call. I'll look over the bag. We'll make them an offer. They accept it. We send over paperwork, and then we send them a prepaid shipping label for them to ship it in. So actually today I have about 45 pieces of luxury coming in from all over, not just the US, but also out of state or out of the country. So a lot of our luxury pieces too, I will source internationally. So, and I spend about $50,000 or more a year on authentication fees alone to make sure all of our luxury that we sell is authenticated. It's kind of like baseball cards. Yeah.
Alex, very exciting business.
Thank you.
Could you talk a little bit about what you're comfortable sharing of your strategic plan for the next 5?
Okay, so one of my plans that I'm actually working on right now is there's definitely a bottleneck in the business. It's me. And so I am working on delegating and hiring at least 2 more employees. And so I'm talking with my current team to see what roles they would maybe like to move into. And then whatever roles are still left, we will be putting out hiring ads to do that. I would love to increase our online business. Like I said, right now in stores, about 80% of my sales. So I know that there's a huge market online. So I would love to grow our online business. One of those bottlenecks, again, me, that I mentioned is I can only take so many photos and send them to our photo editor a day. I think this week I've taken over 300 photos of luxury pieces for our website, just for luxury pieces dropping this week. So obviously one of those jobs that we're going to be looking for is going to be a photographer, and then a photo editor, and then somebody that can list these items on our website, just to grow that business. I'm say organically, meaning I'm just putting these things on, people are going to see them, so they're naturally going to buy them. But we also do Instagram and social media ads. That is my main point of paid advertising. So I spend about $900 to $1,000 a month, and I target very specific areas, and I will actually run multiple ads for that area at once. So I kind of like to bombard that area. And we know it works because, one, we see the sales come through online. We have people come in the store. We actually had 2 people in from Philadelphia last week, saw us on Instagram, made plans, and they came in. But we're also tracking it with email newsletter signups. So right now I send about 60,000 emails a month to our customers. So we have our bag alert list every morning, 9:03. Our email is scheduled to go out, and they are opening that email, and then they can see what's dropping, what's going to be available at 10 o'clock, and then they can go right on our website, 10 o'clock, refresh the page, buy it. So just increasing all of that, getting more email signups, being able to market to those people, get them off social media because we don't own our pages. And we actually had Instagram take our page down for about 3 months the other year. Yes. So we had to have somebody send a very polite letter saying, hey, you messed up. Please put this back. Thank you. And they did. It was great. They didn't tell me they did, though. I found out by accident. I went on Instagram and I was like, oh, there's my post. Oh, wait, there's my post. Okay, I guess our page is back. And it was. So growing the email list, hiring, getting the right people in place, and also just really dial in what is selling and get more of it. Hello.
Hi, Alex. Long time no see.
Yes.
So 80% in store,
Yes.
20% online. Is there any possibility of franchising and taking this wonderful York business to other towns, cities? Has it ever been on your mind to do that?
It was briefly. I don't think I would want to do that, though, only because I want to make sure that my brand standards are being upheld. And I know with franchising, there would be rules. But I don't want to risk somebody getting their hands on my branding and completely undoing everything that I've worked really hard to build. And yes, I know I would be able to take legal steps, but that moves slow. It would not be an overnight shutdown of a franchise location. So probably not. I also have people ask me if I'm going to open another location, and I always say I will when I can clone myself.
A question over here. With the Gucci bags and the Louis Vuitton, how do you check that they're authentic?
So we use a third-party authentication service. So if any of you are familiar with Fashion File, Rebag, or The RealReal, they're some of the industry leaders right now. They all use their own in-house team. And that's great to a point. However, as a customer, I would love for them to offer a third-party authentication. I do that because it's a neutral person. They're getting paid for that authentication service, whether the bag is real or counterfeit. So there is no benefit for them to lie and say a bag is real when the bag is counterfeit, because they're getting paid either way. So I do spend about $50,000 or more a year on authentication services. So we authenticate everything, and everything we sell will come with a certificate of authenticity if you ask. I don't typically just print them out because that would be a lot of printing. But if you ask, we'll email it over to you, or we'll print it out in store if you're shopping in store and send it with you. And if an item comes in and already has an authenticity certification, I will send it myself, because I do not know that that is the actual item that was sent for authenticity or authentication. I don't know if these people took the pictures. There's a lot of scams right now where these scammers will take photos from Fashion File, The RealReal, my website, wherever they can find them, They jumble them all together and then they send these photos that they stole off the internet for authentication. And then they use that authentication to sell their counterfeit item. So if I have not taken the photos myself and submitted them myself, that item goes for authentication again. Period.
Hi, Alex. Thanks so much for being here and telling us about your growth.
Thank you.
We are so focused on the city of York. And so besides cloning yourself, what would it take to put a satellite back in downtown York? What things would you be looking for in the city? What would the city need to do for you to draw you back downtown? Very curious about that. And what kind of items are you maybe thinking about expanding into in the future?
So that is a little bit of a loaded question for me.
It is, but I know you can handle it.
And I will say this before I answer that. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be nice, but I'm going to be honest. I love downtown. Downtown is where I built my business, and I spent 13 years of my life, 40 plus hours a week driving downtown. And COVID really changed downtown. And I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing COVID changed. Me too. But it did. The office workers are there maybe 2 or 3 days a week. I love Central Market. They've made Tuesday optional for vendors. So on Tuesday, a lot of Central Market is closed. Going back to communication, consistency, it's hard to draw people downtown when they want to come down for market on a Tuesday and the place they want to go to is closed. It's frustrating. We heard it day in and day out. So one of the things, and I was actually just talking with Karen at Watchmaker's Daughter about this the other week. The other thing is a lot of the business owners downtown, I love them. They are amazing. Okay, just remember that. But some of them are only open 3 days a week. And so if you are only open Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, now you leave and your customers are working 9 to 5 and you're open 10 to 4. Now you've left 1 day for them to come shop with you. And I don't know about you guys, but my Saturdays can get pretty busy very quickly. So now, if they can't come down on a Saturday, now you have to wait another week. And now you're giving them another 7 days to fill up that Saturday schedule with other things that they just have to do first. When I was downtown, and even now, I was open 7 days a week. So I was open until 6 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was open until 7 o'clock on Friday. You know, so we were giving people options. Also being consignment, people have to be able to bring their things into me for my business to survive. So I needed to give people that opportunity. So I would need to see businesses open more in order to help create that draw. I also would love to see downtown businesses in general do more of their own social media ads. You can actually go on Facebook. I can't remember the link. Becca might know. But you can actually look up any Facebook page on Facebook through their link, and you can see what social media ads they're running and what ads they've run in the past, and if they've ever run ads at all. And sometimes you can even see who those ads are targeting. And a couple of years ago, after a merchant meeting where I was trying to get everybody to do social media ads, I decided to go on and look up all the downtown businesses, not all, but we'll say a good like 20, to see who was running ads. 3. So if everybody would run social media ads to draw people to their own businesses, their neighbors would benefit. And if their neighbors were running social media ads to draw people to their businesses, then their other neighbors benefit. Then you have people coming downtown and going, oh my gosh, I can go to 8 stores and get lunch. And the next thing you know, they've spent all day. And then this next one is from personal experience with the building that I was in flooding. We need property owners to take better care of their buildings and hire property management companies who care and are going to pay attention to what is going on and listen to the tenants. So to answer your question, it's multifaceted, really, what it would take for me to come back downtown. I love downtown. Again, I spent 13 years of my life there. I built my business there. I am involved in the community there. But there's a lot that would need to change in order for me to come back downtown at this point. So it's doable. Those are all very doable things. but they also need to be done simultaneously. You have people making millions of dollars in investments with the hotels in the square, and those are amazing things. But these other things also need to happen to really see the results and make that big impact, because downtown York is awesome, but it could be a lot better. And so that's where I would love to see that direction go. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Alex, for sharing your story with us today. I was so enthralled, I forgot to keep time there. Your journey from an online business to a mobile boutique and now a thriving storefront is a testament to the resilience, adaptability, and entrepreneurial spirit. Your experience navigating growth and the evolving needs of the community remind us that leadership often means embracing challenges and finding opportunities to make a positive impact. And while you were talking about all of the customers that you draw in from out of state, I was reminded of how many times Explore York talks about the economic impact of tourism. And I can only imagine if we had more stores like yours, I would be curious to see what the economic impact is of your bringing, because you could probably do a day trip from Philly, but maybe not from Virginia, and depending where they're coming from. So that's really cool when you think about that, a storefront bringing in people from out of state that could possibly be spending dollars here in our community. So thank you for all that you do and all of the work and dedication that you have in being, we'll say, a community involved business owner and supporting our community. So thank you for that. As you know, our speaker signs a book plate to be for the book that will be donated to York Day Early Learning Center, along with a bookmark made by students at Creative York. I think Lynn likes to torture me. It's Harold and the Purple Crayon again. No, Eric Chase, I've not watched that link yet either that you sent me, the book. 3 more weeks to do that. So next week, we will hear from Christina Milano, the CEO and co-founder of Athlon Rayleigh, a central Pennsylvania-based youth wellness technology company, helping schools build healthier habits in children through short movement-based digital experiences. Raleigh supports more than 200,000 kids through partnerships with school districts, professional sports organizations like the Philadelphia Flyers, and community partners across the country, demonstrating how innovation rooted in community can create meaningful impact for the next generation right here in York and beyond. With that, our meeting is adjourned and we will see you next week.